joined once again by my co-host, Ryan Sage. Ryan, what a great way to start the season on the streets of Long Beach at round one.
Oh man, so many takeaways. I mean, where do you start? A near perfect qualifying run for Matt Field, 99 points. The consistency, reliability of Chris Forsberg back with a new engine program. The speed and style of Forrest Wang coming in second place. Questionable reliability from James Dean, having some problems with this nitrous system, and a really good battle between him and Dean Carney, but going out earlier than expected. But really the story from Long Beach is where we start Orlando, and that is with event.
It just came all together for him. He just has, I mean, he's quickly becoming the best chaser in the field. You know, I mean, he's just an awesome driver. And you don't want to sensationalize crashes, but the big Ryan Turk, he took a big hit, rode off the car, and later come to find out he did suffer concussion, so safety is a priority, even though he hit the tire wall. Thankfully, he hit the tire wall. If he didn't hit that, it could have been much worse. But glad to see him back here. His team worked feverishly to get the car cross country in a new car, taking what was called the street car, and now it is a purpose-built vehicle. So it's pretty amazing to see those teams work and come back and given all the conditions. But we are here. This is round 2 of 8, and as you said, Odie leads the pack, but today is all about qualifying.
Well, and he will be the last one to qualify. We'll see how the drivers adjust to these conditions. Today is the only day that we're expecting the possibility of rain. We don't know exactly when it's going to hit, but it looks like if it does, it will come right at qualifying. So right now the drivers are practicing in relatively dry conditions. There was a little bit of rain that came down, but not enough to really affect the grip levels or the smoke. So drivers are going to have to think about what's my setup now, and when I get into the rain, how much of my setup is going to have to change and adjust. And let's remember, we have more than a full field of drivers, so there will be some guys going home today.
And truth be told, we saw 30-plus drivers whittled down to 16, and as you said, it's going to be a top 32 today. But let's take a look at our top 10 standings coming to this round. As you said, notable Odie Bakshis, the top of the heap. Odie Bakshis with a 20-point lead over Forrest Wang. Forsberg at the 1, 2, and 3 podium. Frederick Aasbo and Matt Field. So those are our top 5 standings. And guess what? Let's take a short break because next we'll bring in Ryan Lantain to talk about what the judges are looking for. But this is a JE Pistons Tech Talk with Frederick Aasbo.
Hey guys, it's Rob Nishida. We're here with the JE Pistons Tech Talk. I'm at the Steph Papadakis rig. Frederick Aasbo car is up on 4 right now. What's going on?
Oh my God. We blew an engine in practice. We were fighting an issue in Long Beach a couple weekends ago. This is an opener where we started noticing some knock on the morning of the event. And we didn't have time to change the motor at that time. And we didn't know what was going on. And we were pretty sure that the motor would blow the first run. It didn't in Long Beach. It actually lasted all the way until top 4 until it eventually gave out. And since then, the guys have been replacing everything from the motor to fuel system, injector, new batch of fuel pumps, coils. Went through the tune. Everything is replaced. So
All right, and we're back here with Judge Ryan Lantain. Now, Ryan, as we get into qualifying today and talk about the event format, one thing that needs to be brought up is that we saw some incredible driving at Long Beach. We saw that 99 from Matt Field that we talked about in the opening. Tell us about the event format, and do you think that the new judging format actually helps raise scores, or are the drivers just getting that much better?
That's a good question. First of all, the So it's very important.
All right, so line angle, style, and the track map. Let's break that down. Give us an idea of what you guys are looking for.
This beautifully colored map that we have here, 6 different sectors, 40 points broken into 2 different criteria, fluidity and commitment.
Now, the decel map is something that we talk about a lot, but it's really worth emphasizing because it's an expectation that you guys place or benefit that you guys give to the chase driver to let them know that the lead car may be slowing, may be going off of acceleration in these particular areas. But just give us an idea of how that works and then obviously break down the map.
The lead driver should not be slowing down red zones on the map that you see there. That will give the chase driver the knowledge of where that could potentially happen. And everywhere else on the track, it gives them the confidence to push really hard and be really close to that lead car. If ever they are very close and the lead driver does slow down somewhere else, the chase driver is confident knowing that the lead driver will be held responsible for that, as they are not supposed to do that anywhere outside of those red areas.
Now, we've already seen some incredible driving in Pro 2 qualifying last night, and this very much is a full throttle track, even with those decel zones. We just see drivers keep stepping it up and stepping it up. But if they go over the line and they get an incomplete, give us a list of incompletes for qualifying.
So in qualifying, you have any type of spin that could happen on the course. If you lose control, spin out completely. If you drift in the opposite direction that you should be drifting anywhere on the track, that's another loss of control and you'll get an incomplete. Anything latchable opening, hood, hatch, trunk, doors, anything like that that opens up during a run would constitute an incomplete as well. One more thing is the unchaseable lead run. So we're really wanting the drivers to put together a run, even in qualifying, that could be chaseable. And if it's something we look at and see that the chase driver, there's no way they could have done a good job behind that, then that'll be considered an incomplete as well.
All right, well, thank you, Ryan. We always appreciate your insight. This is the AutoZone Scorch presented by Black Magic at the Formula Drift presented by Black Magic Pro Championship. Up next, we are about to see the top 34 drifters in the world qualify right here in sunny Orlando.
All right, welcome back. Need some insight from Ryan Lontagne, which is, I think, invaluable for not only the drivers but as well as the fans. And Ryan asked some great questions and kind of reinstituting that as opposed to previous years. It's just a constant evolution of. Why do you think that is? Just the evolution of kind of judging, changing over the years.
Well, I think mostly we want to be able to bring the most exciting show to fans, and part of that is also an understandability factor, right? Making sure that fans understand what's being said in a driver's meeting, how the competition is being set up, and making it palatable enough for them so they can understand and judge along the way. I was watching fans last night in the chat, and people were dropping numbers as drivers. There's a lot of fans that were really quite on.
Right.
So, that's encouraging for me. But really, it's about we want to continue to progress the sport in ways that we have competition. Those are things that we can make adjustments, not on the fly, because everything is a little bit of a process, but in trying to think about what's going to be best for the sport over the long haul.
Right now, taking a look over at the track here, we have seen quite a few wet practice runs here, as well as we're going to be seeing wet conditions here for their first qualifying run. So we're going to be doing and instituting what we call a sight lap.
Yeah, so we did hear that from race control that when we started practice, there was a little bit of moisture that had come on the track from just maybe a few minutes of light rain. But during practice, we had a few more storms. Small storms come in, or part of this storm come in and put down a little bit of standing. And to go out, check up if they need to. So they'll go do that lap. They'll come right back to the start line, and then they'll start. That may not happen for run number 2, however. Yep. So this will just be for the conditions as they currently stand now. And remember, Jared, when we left Long Beach, we had 36 drivers that were registered. The only driver that I can see on this list here actually
throttle. into that second outer zone. And there is our first judged run from Joao.
Well, we're definitely going to see judging on a scale here, Jared. We know that. We've been doing this long enough to know that when we get in these wet conditions, the judges will adjust based on what they see from the drivers here. Joao getting on that mid-high line on the bank. Areas of water on the track pretty well here. The Achilles driver looking solid as he gets into that last outside zone and finishing up right there through the finish line.
Judges accumulating their scores here in the Permatex qualifying. Speaking of Permatex, you can see the vehicle of Dylan Hughes, and Ryan just spoke about him. A couple corrections. I mean, thrashing to get that car worked up. And this actually might come to work out to his benefit. Dylan Hughes talking with his brother Dayton, who's actually a spotter. And there's Joao's score, a 75 for the Brazilian newcomer. So talking to, again, Dylan Hughes' brother Dayton, who's a spotter, he says down on horsepower a little bit, but this could end up working out for him in these wet conditions. Dylan Hughes moving, making the jump from Pro 2 to Pro, operating this Black Magic. You can see all the different variety of sponsors from Black Magic, Fast Orange, Rainix, and all the ITW brands, all available at AutoZone. All right, here is his sight lap. Let's get a feel for the course. Again, not a judged run. Each driver will complete a sight lap. As Dylan Hughes making good use of it. So you can see kind of just whipping the back end there. Getting it. And past that second front clip. All right, so he'll make his way back up to the start line and get his first judged run.
You obviously talked to Dylan. He was pretty devastated after Long Beach and not being able to make it into the main show. Certainly has the caliber to be in the top 32. Anything you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that he was emotional after just getting the car prepared. I remember he worked hard, really hard. Him and his family and even his dad came down from the Pacific Northwest to work on it. And I don't know if you saw the video where he's crying. But after, to be quite honest, you know, once it settled in, he came out of Long Beach unscathed. I think that's a victory. You know, when you debut a car and then you enter Long Beach, to come out with the vehicle in one piece, that's a small victory. So right now, looking to really step it up from Long Beach, and he's doing just that. We're seeing some steam come off the back, because with that moisture and the heat of the tires, you're going to create steam, a little bit of smoke here as he goes past that first front clip, transitioning through the power alley, and now past that second front clip. About the second hash mark, now gets into that groove. Now water's going to accumulate there where the transition meets the flat bottom, so you're going to see a lot more water being sprayed off the back there. But I think a fairly good run there for Dylan Hughes. Again, that sliding scale here that the judges are looking at.
Well, you talked about the emotional preparedness, and certainly competitively it looks really strong here. You can see taking that nice high line on the bank. Look at the consistency in the front wheels. He locks in on that line with good angle. Lets the suspension compress just a little bit outside on that first inside clip. Give yourself a little bit of breathing room running through these runs now, Jared. Usually we're trying to catch up with the vehicles, but now you get a little bit more of an anticipation of what's going to happen here. I think this is a nice, solid run for Dylan. He's going to have a scored run here as we go on board with Johnny FPV. And it's interesting to see the connectivity of the drone this time around. Without all of the interactions of downtown Long Beach, we get a much cleaner view here on board from the drone. So that is really nice to see, and hopefully Johnny doesn't get wet out there. I don't think the drone is too happy with rain.
Definitely not. All right, so an 88, a good job there, an 88 for Dylan Hughes. So good, a solid run there. So Kevin Lawrence, this is his home track. Kevin Lawrence lives just down the road. He works at Njuku Racing. He's sponsored by Njuku Racing, and I'm glad to see him back out here. He took a really hard hit, similar to that of Ryan Turk, even before qualifying even happened. But the RB-powered S13.4 or S14.3, right? I always forget. S14.3, I guess is what you'd call it. So the S chassis with the RB engine. But yeah, so the Achilles tires getting a little warmed up there. Like I said, this is his home track. Him, Pat Gooden, Alec Honda, he's from Destin, Florida, but Speaking of Orlando, this is this gentleman's home track for sure. Here we go. Kevin Lawrence, K-Law. See if he can drop the gavel here. And here comes Kevin Lawrence on his first qualifying run. Slip slide, comes out of drift, then reinitiates. See how the judges view that. Now coming down into that first front clip. Oh, and a wide swing there. Hangs it out quite a bit far. And he's going to shut it down. So that's going to be, that will be an incomplete.
Yeah, I thought maybe he might try to whip it back the other way and just take a very large deduction there, but I think he was thinking that too much slowdown there on that big angle coming through the center section, so he will take that incomplete for run number 1 and go back and adjust. Let's take a look on board here with Kevin Lawrence. You can see coming down off the bank, he's eyeing up this inside clip here. You can see the movement in the he tries to whip it back around, but decides not to go for it, and instead will take the incomplete.
All right, so Jeff Jones pulling up to the line, warming up his Nexen tires, and just love the progression of Jeff Jones just from many years back to now, and he's really come up to be a contender, and I really like what I see a little smirk on your face. What do you got?
This was where Jeff Jones made a few of his bones. Remember when the wheel came off?
Yeah, yeah.
This is where a lot of that kind of started. Like, this guy has got.
Yeah, he's you know, and the best part about it is he's having fun. You know, I mean, as one of dogs and stuff, and he's just having fun.
I love Jeff. I think he's one of the greatest personalities in the sport today, and he's always got a smile on his face. He loves drifting, and I hope the best for him here. It looks like he's headed back up to start his second run, and I know he didn't have the finish that he wanted on Long Beach, but here's a great opportunity here to lock into the top 32 with a nice run.
Yeah, don't know how much wet experience he has. I mean, we have seen him, you know, drift in wet conditions here in Orlando in this. Let's see if he rises to the occasion. Here we go, Jeff Jones. Looks like he's keeping it together right now. Well done, about the second hash mark. And coming to that second inside clip, about the third. Fairly similar to Dylan Hughes' line there on that second clip. Doesn't get all the way out to the groove. Looks like he's just kind of flirting with it, and then crosses the finish line. So a great run there for Jeff Jones. And like I said, when you come away unscathed, that's a good thing.
Yeah, the tracks like this and also New Jersey are real noticeable when drivers go up on the bank when they're down. So we can see from Jeff here, he's really navigating through this center section of the course. A little bit of a hold up there on the train. But looking to
Jeff Jones, Kyle the Menace Mohan leaves the start line for the sight lap. Him and Jeff have teamed up and just been more smiles. And they've made some cameos on previous live streams and fun. And also Kyle Mohan, the lone winner in competition. Proudly the American Ethanol on the door. American Ethanol. Top one oil. Tricks, and he is on Nexen tire. All right, so fans are cheering him. Here he comes, Kyle Mohan. Kyle Mohan making the switch from the MX-5. A lot more comfortable here in this vehicle. Said like live, but just very twitchy. To, you know, from side to side, just very twitchy. Car has just a bit more far as keeping its poise. On his first run, throws, you can see, gets tight to the wall, a little bit more angle, and look at that. And he did that front right. Slams down. Of the third hash marks. Right now, runs to what we've seen previously from Dylan Hughes and Jeff Jones. This is where we're really going to split hairs. I mean, these guys are, you know, some of the best drifters in the world.
Well, it's been a busy past few weeks for Kyle Mohan, kicking his campaign off in Super Drift out here in Orlando and looking pretty. As you mentioned, Jared Smoke starting to billow. Southern driver ripping through that section, then heading out into that second inside clip. Now got those rear wheels placed right in that here and going on board in the car as he comes through that section and then pushing up onto the big bank. So for Kyle Mohan, his first run is in the books.
78, that's a 78 for Kyle Mohan. So a good straightforward run. I'm really looking forward to, again, Pro 2 head-to-head, and then when we get the dry condition, you can already see the different patches where the puddles are. They are obviously going to stay wet, but the majority of the course, it's beginning to dry out, and that's a sign of a good time because we're going to be seeing some smoke, we're going to be seeing some faster speeds, and we're going to be seeing these drivers really step it up. A newly debuted vehicle for this driver from South Carolina. This is Austin Meeks. He is in this ferocious Motorsports Nexon Tires Cadillac ATS-V. Austin Meeks got. Look at that. I talk about it, and there it is. Boom. More smoke billowing off the back of this Cadillac of Austin Meeks. Through that power alley, into that second inner clip, and then finds it where that water's accumulating. Just a quick little splash pad and powers through. Ryan, again, we are beginning to see some drier conditions and a great run there for Austin Meeks. That's got to build his confidence, again, debuting this new car.
Yeah, taking a look here. Gets that nice initiation. Heads up on the bank. He's on a high line there, then drops down, finds his place to attack. A little bit of adjustment in the wheels there. You can see angling up a little bit and kind of that slower trend to that second inside clip. Now eyeing up that outside zone. Has a little bit of trouble placing the wheels and maintaining a nice fluid arc, but nonetheless getting a scored run here for Austin Meeks. And he will have run number 1 to take back and look at and figure out how he needs to improve for run number 2. As you said, Jared, the conditions starting to improve.
Austin Meeks with a 78, so mimicking the score of his previous competitor, that of Kyle Mohan. So now we're going to be seeing Sebastian Gauthier, the retina burning orange. Saw a cool photo of that thing under black light last night. Thing glows in the dark, man. All right, so Gauthier from Canada, from Quebec City to be exact. This is his sight lap. Again, just want to make sure that Sebastian knows that this is a sight lap. Sebastian. All right, the Cosmos wheels pulling up to the start line for simply known as Seb Gauthier. Let's see what you got. Sebastian Gauthier. Oh boy. Oh no. Oh, I'm seeing, yeah, seeing some smoke. Oh man, that's gonna be, oh, unfortunately for him, that is going to be an incomplete. What a bummer. He had a decent sight lap, but then, oh man. My goodness. So unfortunately for Seb, that is going to be an incomplete run. He joins Kevin Lawrence in having an incomplete on his first run, Ryan.
Yeah, very unfortunate turn of events there, especially knowing that the sighting lap actually would have helped him in that scenario if we weren't under those conditions. But he will have that incomplete, and he'll have another opportunity to shake it down in run number 2.
Drop it down for me. So Gauthier makes his way back to the pits, and his team, all hands on deck, get that thing back up and running and ready to rip on his second qualifying run. Warming up his tires.
So who's winning the battle of the sheriff so far?
Oh man, well, I mean, going off the standings right now, the sheriff shoot down between João Berrion and the Italian driver that is Federico Sciariffa. I'd have to say Federico right now. He is he's the hot right now. Would you agree or disagree? You don't want to get in between that international battle.
Well, I think he definitely got a little bit of the better of Berrion in Super Drift, so
yeah,
he's up ahead.
So no sight lap. We are hearing our staff let us know. Race control saying no sight lap. He's just going for it. Here we go. Federico Sciariffa in Fiorella in his Ferrari, burning up those Nexons. Now through that outside zone. Don't need no stinking sight lap. Just go for it, right? As Federico brings in, a wide swing explodes that indicator of the beginning of that outside zone and crosses the finish line. So Federico Sciariffa, good aggressive approach there, and no sight lap.
Now, do we know, was that no sight lap by choice or because we
That was by choice.
By choice, okay.
By choice.
So let's take a look at this. A very aggressive approach here, opting for no sight lap for Federico. Coming down off the bank, you can see smoke starting to plume here. Obviously the course getting much quicker. A little bit of adjustment there and going up 2 wheels off right as he enters that second outside zone. Losing some of the bumper there, but then finishing up pretty strong. So the most sizable mistake is going to be right here, Jared, as he comes through the power alley. He pushes wide on that second inside clip, and then you can see just getting 2 wheels with the right rear wheel up on the highest part of the bank. So that's going to be a little bit of a mistake. Now, we saw the judges give incompletes for 3 wheels off. I don't think this is going to warrant that, but it will definitely be a mistake on certain aspects of the criteria.
Yeah, I heard some cringing from the judges. I don't know if that was because it's a Ferrari back bumper and they know how expensive that is, or because of the mistake that he make as Federico goes off course. So we will see the outcome here being tabulated, and there it is. 74, dressed to impress, Federico Sciariffa with his new tuxedo race suit for the season. Dressed to impress, but still leaving some points on the board. All right, so we are confirming that Taylor Hull will be taking his sight lap. He's from Georgia, and this Comp Cam Achilles tire, Cadillac ATS-V, definitely on his sophomore season with this vehicle. We've seen Taylor Hull campaign as chassis in previous years, but the ATS-V now being joined by Taylor Meeks with another Cadillac, but Taylor Hull looks like he's really finding the sweet spot of this vehicle. And we saw him progress through the season last year. Would you agree? I mean, Taylor figuring this car out?
Well, yeah, I was just going to mention that I encourage all the fans to tune in tomorrow. We'll be debuting a new series called Privateer Profile, and the first 4 episodes are actually about Taylor Hull and his 2018 run with his sponsor Comp Cams, and just all the trials and tribulations a team has to go through. But for him, he ended up the season really well, had a strong qualifying position and a great job in Irwindale. And we just take a look at what it takes to be a privateer in Formula Drift.
Right on, so check that out tomorrow. Here we go, Taylor Hull, his first qualifying run in that Comp Cams Achilles tire, Cadillac ATS-V. Yeah, getting up on that wall. He is really flying. Like, see a little bit more angle there. And then you can hear him, quick little lift. We talk about that decel area right there as well, approaching that second front clip. Works it, massages it out to that outside zone. Well done. I think, you know, no rain or not, that was a great aggressive line and run there by Taylor Hull.
Let's take a look at the initiation. Nice flick into the bank. You can see he gets on throttle just right after that last point of initiation. Smoke line starting to develop as he comes through the middle section of the big bank. A little bit of an adjustment there after that first inside clip, so lacking some of the fluidity, but overall this is a pretty solid run. It should be enough to build off of for run number 2, but you can still see, Jared, that down on that inner bank, an area where we typically see a lot of smoke coming off those rear wheels, we are not really seeing smoke generate in that area. So various parts of the track drier than others, and taking a look on board. This is that first inside clip. See that little adjustment that he makes here? He kind of angles up, not really getting the positioning that he probably would have wanted, but you get an idea, the different levels of grip coming from that center section into that last outside zone. So for Taylor Hull, a good start for him.
Another 78, so seems to be the trend right now, just right there. So a C+.
Yeah, and last night we did see, I don't know if we'll see this in the pro class, we'll have to wait for a few more runs, but we did see a lot of the same scores, and what really became important was that second run for the tiebreaker.
Yeah, the 83s, the 84s, and where they land. All right, so this is Dirk Stratton in the Stratton Chevrolet, what they call the Drift Vet, sponsored by Lingenfelter, as well as Fortune Auto and Achilles Tire. So the Stratton Chevrolet Corvette on his sight lap will make his way to the start line. Now Dirk actually talking to him just after the drivers meeting this morning, saying that, yeah, hit the wall yesterday, but feeling good and just shaking it out. And sometimes, you know, that rattling of the cage, more mentally than physically, just will get kind of shake it out and then ready to rock, ready to do battle. Dirk Stratton, Lingenfelter, Stratton Chevrolet, Achilles Tire, Fortune Auto, hashtag Drift Vet. And here we go. Dirk through the chicane. Let's see what you got, Dirk. Flick, smoke machine comes on. Great angle from him. See how he handles that transition. No problem, very tight to that first front clip. Now transitioning past the second. Oh, looks like he's almost gonna overcook it, and that's him going off course just a little bit. And now approaching that finish line. Like the aggressiveness of Dirk, looked like I said, just that tap yesterday makes him, says, hey, work out the cobwebs, here we go.
Well, that could have been a lot worse at the beginning of that second outside zone. That was a great save by Dirk, and this is a pretty solid first run for him, tight on that inside clip after coming off a mid-high line on the bank. Here he is, he's pushing out a bit wide there. He makes a good adjustment, but he's still able to keep those rear wheels into the deep part of that zone without adjusting the line too much. So he did have a mistake there, but he does a good job coming off the bank, balancing right there through the compression of the suspension and that snap back around, right? And here he just pushes a little bit too wide as Johnny just flies right over him. So good job by Dirk making those adjustments. And I think even with that mistake, he'll still have a pretty good run to build off for run number 2.
Let's see the outcome and the culmination of a score. An 82. An 82 there for Dirk Stratton. A great score for him. And as we talk about Orlando, this driver very familiar with this track, Pat Gooden. Passionate Pat, some call him the king of spring break. He's from right here in Florida. Definitely a guy to watch. This vehicle, the former competition vehicle of Matt Field. Got it prepared for him this season, and Pat's a great reintroduction into the Formula Drift field. Vortex supercharged V8 under the hood of this S chassis. He's on Achilles tires in his 240 SX. Let's see what Pat's got here on his qualifying run. Again, very familiar with this track. A lot of track time for him. Between him and Kevin Lawrence. Probably the two of the most seat time here at OSW. Pat Gooden leaves the start line. Show me what you got. Yeah, there we go. Pat Gooden throwing it down, riding high. Brings it into that first front clip. A good spot to leave that outside zone. And like I said, now all the seat time here at this track really paying off here for Gooden. I can see the grin right now underneath Pat's helmet there, Ryan.
Well, there's no question he's going to know this track just about as good as anybody else. And right here, he starts it off with a nice aggressive flick that touches the wall. He keeps the car in a nice drift angle without adjusting the line. So good risky maneuver there that looks like it pays off. He gets right through that inside clip. He's carrying great speed here, and you can see even with the rain that has come down and the lack of grip in certain areas, he was still, you were able to see when he got back on throttle past that second inside clip. Let's see if we can catch it here on the drone. Watch this right here. The smoke line's going to fall off, and then boom, you can see it start to pick up again right there. So he's back on throttle, making those adjustments needed. I think this is a good, solid first run for him, and definitely a run to be proud of.
All right, so. And a 90, he takes the lead, our #1 qualifier so far. Pat Gooden with a 9-0. That's a 90 for Pat Gooden. This is a sight lap for Rad Dan, a.k.a. Dan Burkett in the Rad Industries Toyota Supra. The Nexen tires, like I said, a lot more smoke coming out the backside of these vehicles, which is a great thing. The wind kicking up, that's going to help dry out the track as well. So let's see this Toyota Supra, the only Toyota Supra in Pro competition. We do see Ola Jaeger, who competes in Pro 2, and we'll see him go head-to-head later on today. And we are ready to send it. Here we go. Send it. Here we go. Rad Dan. Dan Burkett locks him up. You can see those cones hanging on the wall. They want to see him initiate before that final cone. Hanging on the fence. Dan Burkett ripping through the track. A lot more speed being pulled from these vehicles given the conditions. So Dan Burkett on that outer zone, you can see how much more smoke is being accumulated.
Well, Dan Burkett has definitely kind of turned his program into a media-making machine. A lot of inside stories about how he prepped for the start of the 2019 season, and now here he is, first run in Orlando, looking pretty good here. Big smoke line being created on the bank. Nice big angle, little bit of adjustment there where he pulls a little bit of angle out of the car after inside clip number 2 rather, but a strong finish here. And now we're starting to see the smoke line coming back in the face of the drivers, which is an indication the course is, at least in that section right there, the first half is getting very dry. We can still see a little bit of moisture down here, especially right here in this area, where the smoke line is now just starting to get a little bit thicker. So we are seeing drier conditions overall, Jared, which is good news for us and everybody watching, but also consistency for the teams.
An 81 for Dan Burkett on his first qualifying run. Next up, great to see Kazuya Taguchi in a vehicle he's just right out of the gate just looks a lot more confident in. And this is his S15, the Achilles Tires Up Garage Top 1 Oil Sylvia S15. He's been campaigning a GTR for a couple years, and it's great to see him now. Look at that. That's the Taguchi we've seen in previous years. Ryan, what do you think? I mean, Kazuya debuting a new car here in Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, you only really need to go back and look at any of the indexed or archived live streams from FD Japan to know just how high of a quality of driver he is. So seeing him in a vehicle that he, you know, assumingly has more comfort in is certainly bad news for other drivers. But let's see how he performs here on run number 1 of qualifying.
Kazuya Taguchi for his first qualifying run behind the wheel of this Up Garage Achilles Tire Top 1 Oil Sylvia S15. Taguchi can barely see the back half of that Sylvia. Brings it on down, drop it down, and then into that first front clip, and now the second. Ticking all the boxes here is Taguchi. Act like he's been here. Well done by Kazuya Taguchi. Very fluid. A great execution there from Taguchi.
Yeah, good run here. He gets that nice early snap, immediately on throttle. You can see that right front wheel lifting up. Goes pretty wide into that zone, but he's still able to draw a smooth arc into that first inside clip. And you can see the consistent throttle control. There was very little brakes in the smoke line there, so he's really on the throttle here. And as he drives through his own smoke line, you can see we lose him for a second. But as we go on board here on the drone, watch how he gets right on that first hash mark on that inside clip. Just nudges that standing cone, and a beautiful execution here, going back around to this last section of the course and staying all the way into the last section of that zone.
And another night, or look at that, into the 90s. So Pat Gooden and now Kazuya Taguchi with a 9-0. So, Ryan, things getting escalating here quickly. And the top drivers coming to this round are definitely going to have a favorable track as Alec Honadell slams down. That looked definitely more violent than some of the other vehicles, so his suspension setup potentially a little bit looser as Alec Honadell loses his front bumper.
Yeah, there's a great vehicle spotlight on our Formula Drift Facebook page of this vehicle from Long Beach, if you want to check it out. That's brought to you by Wheelwell. Alec gives some insight into the vehicle and the setup, and there's a lot of really cool tidbits in just about 60 seconds if you want to check that out.
All right, so go to Formula Drift's Facebook to find out more about this hot rod of a vehicle of Alec Honadell. Here we go, Alec Honadell, ISR, Nexen Tires, S14. He is a Floridian, essentially his home track, even though he's from all the way from Destin. And now, look at that, Alec Honadell, like I said, slams down over the whoop section. You see how loose that car setup is, but that might be his favorable setup. And now Honadell, wow, absolutely standing on it, loud and proud. Ryan, a good run there from Honadell.
Well, no lack of aggression from Alec Honadell. A nice initiation, immediately on throttle. You can see that right front locking up as he stays really high on the bank. It's a great job there bouncing around. One little mistake here is he gets it pointed a little bit farther north of the track than you would have liked after inside clip 1, and he does miss inside clip 2, but he immediately locks into that outside zone, so the line wasn't too far off as he made that transition, but he will have a little bit of a mistake there on that inside clip. Overall, a very aggressive run and solid high points, and definitely a lot to take away there as he prepares for run number 2.
Okay, so Honadell waits for his score. Again, Mitch Larner missing him here at round 2, and 89, so just outside those 290s, but a strong score nonetheless. This is a sight lap for the Ford-powered 240SX of Matt Kaufman, the 959 vehicle. Again, I really love when Kaufman is on. He just seems to be, you know, just really delivering when he is focused.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What's interesting too, thinking about you know, the history of this track as Kaufman was running, I was just thinking about it because I was looking at his tire pressure. He's coming down off the bank. We haven't seen any debeated tires this weekend so far.
Well, you might see one right now. Then, since you said it, the announcer's curse, right? Well, Matt Kaufman, bit of a straight line approach there. Doesn't have too much angle there, but now pours it on. Now through that power alley and past that second front inner clip. Car seems to be very settled there. Well done there by Kaufman. But let's take a look at it again. We were kind of conversing about the debeating of tires in previous years, but what do you see here?
Well, I see a good initiation, gets on throttle a little bit later maybe, has to make a little bit of a slight adjustment, and you know, that's just comparably to what we saw last run with Alec Honadell, but good through that first inside clip. Nice movement and smooth through that center section, and you can see how he locks into that outside zone very nicely and drives all the way through, making sure to fill that zone completely. Here he is coming through that first inside clip off the bank. I love that transition back around, and you can see he's right on that first hash mark. So maybe a couple points off on the big bank, but overall I think this was well executed here from Kaufman.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly. I just wanted to see, you know, again, what you thought, but still a very strong score of an 88. So an 88 there for Matt Kaufman. Next up, I mean, you can't be here at Orlando and with Jonathan Castro in the building and not mention just his run against James Dean. And that wasn't last season, that was the season before, correct? 2017 that we saw Castro, and I remember you and I just like, I mean, absolutely one of the sickest runs I've ever seen.
He's taking a sight lap, right? Okay. Yeah. It's funny you say that because we're still talking about it 2 years later.
Right.
And if you watch, Jonathan Castro has a published profile that's out right now on our social channels, and he still talks about that, and they still ask him about it as one of the moments that for him basically was. He said in his profile that what he likes to focus on the most is being the best chase driver that he can be. And in that moment, at that time frame, and I believe that was in the top 16,
Yeah.
right?
If I remember correctly.
When he knocked James Dean out in a year where Dean was just looking absolutely dominant, that was an incredible moment.
All right, well, I know he's got his wife here in the building. He's got his son here in the building, so he wants to make him proud. Here we go, Castro. Do it to it. Gerdo, Metal Dom. Toyota Racing, Toyota 86. As he transitions off the bank into the flat, past that inner clip, and through that sweeper. Well done there by Jonathan Castro, flying the Dominican Republic flag. Reppin' DR.
Yeah, and this is the closest event we have to DR. I know there's a lot of fans that come to support Jonathan. And starting off his campaign pretty nicely. Could have been a little bit higher on the bank, but you can see he chose a consistent line. He stuck with it from initiation. Now coming through that center section, I like the smoothness, the transition. It was snappy. He got right to angle, a little bit off this last outside zone, but then he pushes out and fills it towards the end there. See that snap back around?
Yeah.
He gets to angle it, he holds it, stays on throttle, just comes off for a second right here. Right there you can see a little bit of a gap, but it's just barely offline. And I think this is going to be a good run for him in run number one. So great job by Jonathan Castro.
And it is 89. It's reflected in the score, an 89. So, man, we are seeing a consistent 88, 89, 90 in the mix. So keeping it truly international from Lima, Peru. The IMR stands for Inca Madness Racing. Alex Hilbrun using this Nitto tire, BMW, supercharged V8 under the hood. This thing has a lot of horsepower on deck. Dominated a few years ago in the Pro 2 Championship, winning every round. And he wants to get back to that form amongst just a little bit more of a lot more of a competitive field. But he's definitely got it in him to get on the box. All right, so here's Hilbrun on the start line. Let's see what Alex Hilbrun's got on his first qualifying run. And Hilbrun initiates, quickly gets to angle and just locks it in. Set it and forget it there from Hilbrun. Bounces down into that first front clip, past that third front clip. The second front clip, excuse me. Ryan, a near flawless run, to be quite honest, outside of that second inner clip.
Well, Jared, I mean, as we've seen from Long Beach, the trend that's kind of continuing here is really the difference between the drivers is a matter of degrees. And here Alex Hilbrun, as he comes down off the bank into that first inside clip, you can see he's a bit wide on that second inside clip. He's still able to connect pretty decently. He wasn't fully in the seam all the way through, but it's just a few little minor adjustments and the differences between these drivers so far in competition. And as we make our way up the rankings, I'm sure we're going to see those degrees even get a little bit smaller as well. But that one was a noticeable mistake, just getting on the outside of that third hash mark of that second inside clip. And Alex Hilbrun finishing up run number one.
So a 91 there for Alex Hilbrun, and he takes the lead. Hilbrun, IMR, Nitto Tires, BMW M3.
in history. Nobody destroys a car in Long Beach and comes back the next round ready for competition, and his team labored intensively.
Score, still waiting for that. All right, so as we wait for Ryan Turk's score. And up next, we are seeing Ryan Literal. He's in the power stop, and there is Ryan Turk's score, an 88. That is an 88 for Ryan Turk. So great to see him back. So our next driver on the start line, the power stop, Coro Works, Nissan 350Z. The car operated out of Atlanta, Georgia, ATL, and Ryan Literal out of the 909. He is from the Inland Empire. Here we go. Ryan Literal, he's skipping his sight run, so this is actually a judged run from Literal. The V8 under the hood of the Z. Ryan Literal looks like he is possessed right now. He's getting lit, literally. As Ryan Literal into that second outer zone. So it evades him just a little bit, but just about a tire distance off. But looked like he's kind of a bucking Bronco ready to go. And Ryan, you talked about that D-beating. It looks like that back left did D-beat, but didn't affect the vehicle.
Yeah, and let's see if we can figure out where that happens. Literal great campaign in 2019, coming off a little bit of an adjustment there. There it goes. Yep, he D-beated it coming down. Hop back on. There it is, off again. Right, I'm sure we're going to catch that on the drone, but he was able to make it through, so he will get a judged run on this one. And that's a lucky break there for Ryan Literal. Watch this. Let's see if we can catch it.
Boom.
Boom.
Look at it.
There it is right there. Now, that happened coming off the bank. And then it popped back on coming through that center section. And then there it is. He's just dragging it across the finish line. So great job right there by Ryan Literal, all things factored in.
Yeah, and that's, you know, making that observation from this side. We couldn't see the tire debeated, and as I said, failing to get it all the way to the outside zone, but still musters up a solid score of an 83, and a great execution from him, as you said, all things considered. So an 83 there for Literal. As we move on to our next car, this is Travis Reeder. Now, Travis Reeder, the Buzz, and him is the Napoleon Motorsports team, his new team here on Nitto Tires. They were to debut their all-electric Camaro, the first all-electric drift vehicle at Long Beach, and that didn't happen, and then brought it out here. We did see some runs from it yesterday, and Ryan, break down as far as competition vehicles. They brought two cars, electric Camaro, not running, so break down what the rules are.
Yeah, as soon as we have the first lap of official practice, that's when you're committed to the car. So Thursday practice is unofficial for them, and if they decide to change cars up, they can actually do that before they spin a wheel on course.
Okay, so since Travis Reeder parked the electric Camaro and he pulled out his trusty S13 that took him to a Pro 2 championship, this is back out here on course. So Travis Reeder will commit to this S13 for competition here in Orlando. Where he lands, about to find out. Right now, it looks like he landed really close to the wall on that transition. Just avoiding the whoop section, taking out that second inner clip, and really riding the line there. The razor's edge on that second outer zone, Ryan.
So Reeder looked really great in Long Beach, continuing his progression from Pro 2 into Pro. And here in Orlando, smooth lineup on the bank, good angle, nice consistent fluid motion through that center section, dealing with the whoops extremely well, getting right into the pocket there at the start of that second outside zone and making it look really easy. There is Travis Reeder. See the way the suspension just takes that whole section right there very well.
Yeah, it barely affected the attitude of the car, and he avoided the whoop section as well.
Yeah, so he's looking great, Jared, and I expect this will be a nice high score for him.
And it is a 91, so he is rivaling there of Alex Hilbrun. So Travis Reeder showing you that the S13 still a competitive chassis, but that is in qualifying. Head-to-head is a different story. Remember, we talked about 34 drivers entering into competition, 2 drivers with incompletes, Gauthier and Kevin Lawrence. And we are now into our top 14 ranked drivers. Dean Carney finishing 14th after round 1. This Oracle Lightning, Achilles tire, Dodge Viper.
Yeah, Jared, and this was a really interesting story out of Long Beach, the James Dean Carney battle. The one more time battle,
Yep.
Both cars having problems, Dean engine overheating, NOS problems for James Dean, and the off-track action was just as crazy as the on-track action, and I believe that we are going to profile the behind the scenes of that particular event between those 2 drivers in an upcoming episode of Moments.
Yep, just holding it together there, and as you say, the off-track incidents, not on track, and then just all the trials and tribulations. But speaking of the 2 Irish drivers, Dean Carney and James Dean, good friends off track. Then when it comes to competition, you want bragging rights. Dean Carney making his way back to the start line. And here comes Carney. And his sight lap completed. Dean Carney ready to send it. You can see our leaderboard right there, our Permatex Pro qualifying leaderboard. Hilbrun at the top. Reeder tied him with a 91. And Dean Carney. You can listen to the 10-cylinder turbo power coming down into that front clip. Quick little correction there from those front wheels, but the back half being covered in Achilles tire smoke. And just ripping through the track, Ryan. A great run there from Carney.
Yeah, Dean looking really strong. I haven't had a chance to speak to him this weekend, wondering how that motor's holding up. He also did do the Super Drift event as well. But this is a good first pull from him. You can see the speed, the angle is there. Nice, smooth, fluid transition through the center section. Locks into this outside zone very well. And then throttles all the way through. And then there comes his own smoke cloud back the other way. Initiates right at the wall and really locks into that line, which is very impressive. That's showing the commitment there from Dean as we go on board. And you can see even with that big vehicle, it really handles the drop-off quite well.
All right, Dean Carney awaiting his score. If this is your first time here to a Formula Drift event, either in person or online, thank you for joining us. I'm Jared Deenda, Ryan Sager. Look at that, a 92. A 92 for Dean Carney. A great way to kick things off here in Orlando. Again, I'm Jared Deenda. I'm joined by Ryan Sage. Sometimes we'll get one of our 3 judges to chime in here, Ryan Lontaine, speaking on the judge's behalf. And tomorrow we'll be joined by Lorette Nickel. She's going to get some insight down in the pits with our drivers and or crew, as Ken Gucci, an FD veteran, a day oneer, been around since day 1 as we enter this second round of our 16th ever season of the Formula Drift Championship. And Ken Gucci whips it around in his Greddy Racing, Toyota 86. He's on Achilles tires. And here comes Ken Gucci on his first qualifying lap. 2JZ under the hood. And Kenshiro, look at that. Right there, exactly where he needs to be. Especially on both of the inside clips. And now, looks like he exceeds that line just a little bit. Potentially just a couple tire treads, but man, a great run there. Ryan, you're giggling over here, bud.
He was really peppering that throttle. Eat. I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just the sound coming off of it. Yeah, because it's so distinct. Really locking up on a great line up on the bank, coming through that first section there. Nice job on that inside clip. Very tight on that second inside clip. Just gets up on that outside zone, but pulls it back together here and crosses the finish line. So a good run here by Ken Gucci in run number 1. his campaign starting off strong here, as now the clouds are breaking, Jared, and the sun is coming through. The track is warming up. I don't know how long that's going to hold, but right now the track conditions are superb.
Noise, real noise. A 95, boom, there you go. He is now our new leader, a 95 for Ken Gushi and his Greddy Performance Toyota Racing Toyota 86. And the FD veteran, Ken Gushi, our current Black Magic top qualifier. Getting some cash, you get the medallion, and also you can vote and potentially win. Who do you think is going to be our Black Magic top qualifier? Go to formuladee.com, vote, and you could potentially win as a former FD champion, Michael Essa, Essa Autosports, BMW on Achilles tires, enters into the Coliseum that is OSW. I think this track could really favor Michael Essa's driving style. Very smooth and very fast. Let's see how Essa's going to handle this. Looks like he's again, as the sun comes out, the track dries out more and more, and looks like with every driver they get more of an idealistic track condition. As I said, Essa, you can see a quick little correction there of those front wheels just to make sure he didn't center that inside clip. But outside of that, a great run there from Essa, but that will get some points deducted.
Let's take a look here at the first run of Michael Essa's campaign here at FDORL. Nice and high on the bank. Let's keep an eye on those front wheels, how he adjusts coming down. Great job on that first inside clip. Fluid transition. You can see the front end wanted to wash out there, but he really held it together. He didn't have that little mistake going up on the big bank right near outside, the beginning of outside zone number 2. So this will be a relatively high scored run, but as we take a look as he comes down off the bank, he's able to really make a nice save right there and not go off course. A strong first run for Michael Essa, and he's got another one to back that up. So good job by him as he goes back to the hot pits.
And a 90, a 9-0 there for Mike Essa. A 9-0. So we're seeing some high scores similar to that of Pro 2. As another former champ, RTR ready to rock. And unfortunately, Vaughn Gittin Jr. just DB'd a tire. So unfortunately for Vaughn and his Monster Energy Nitto tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR.
Jared, let's take a look at this and see. It looked like it popped right when he came. Actually, it's
right there.
Off, and then it's really off right there as he comes down. It's actually inside the wheel well, but it looks like it was starting to lean. I mean, obviously they have a little bit of give because these guys are running such low tire pressure, but in that particular area of the course, very important to make sure that that tire stays on. But Vaughn, I believe he's going to call a competition timeout. Is that confirmed?
Well, no, they said if he needed to fix it, he would have to call a competition.
Yeah, I heard that, but that was not confirmed.
That's
yet.
not confirmed. Basically, if he wanted to re-enter and utilize this qualifying run, he would have to utilize his one and only competition timeout for this instance.
What would you do?
I would not call a comp timeout.
Just go for the next run.
I would, yeah. I mean, just
abandon run number 1.
Just given all the scenarios and what's going on here, I would save your comp timeout and wait for your second qualifying run.
All right.
What would you do?
It's tough. I totally agree with you. The comp timeout has a very high value, and the probability that you're not.
What is it?
The probability that you're not going to be
okay.
in 32 is low, right?
Right.
He's most likely going to make it in 32 if he has a full pull. So it would be nice to have that competition timeout. It's just that it's a little bit fingernail biting.
Right, it's just a little petty. But truth be told, right now, his teammate, Chelsea Denofa, is not calling a sight lap. He's saying, I'm just going to go for it here in his BC Racing Nitto Tires Ford Mustang. So again, the 2-car RTR team coincidentally going back-to-back. Looks like the 88 of Chelsea Denofa explodes that inner clip, and he will be getting a full pole, and Ryan Chelsea Denofa brings it across, and a signature Denofa style. You can see all the tire particulates shooting off the back. So Denofa says, no sight lap, I'm going for it. As we were talking about, Von Gittin Jr., we'll see what he does.
And this is very similar to a lot of the practice runs that we've seen from Denofa. It's similar to almost every run that we see from him. It's 100%. Very few mistakes. You can see bouncing through that center section, just a little bit tight on that inside clip, but the judges are going to allow for a tap like that. And it's not necessarily that it's allowed, it's that the deduction is going to be very minimal because they'd rather have him be tight on the clip. They don't want him so tight where he center punches it, because that's what happened to him in Forsberg in the battle that became somewhat controversial, is he center punched that last inside clip in the chase position, which is basically completely off course. In this case, he just barely nudged it.
Right. All right, so just a little kiss. Little smooch of that inside clip. Where does Chelsea Denofa land? Let's find out. Again, our current leader, I believe with a 95, that's Ken Gucci. Does Chelsea Denofa knock him out? That BC Racing Nitto Tires Ford Performance Mustang RTR, ready to rowdy. He's on his windshield. As Dai Yoshihara takes his sight lap, he is currently on course. And Denofa with a 96 for Chelsea Denofa. So Denofa calls no sight lap, and he goes for it, and he is now your #1 qualifier. Black Magic top qualifier right now. All right, so Dai Yoshihara. Turn 14, distribution, Falcon Tires, Ineos Oil, Subaru BRZ. Here is Daijiro Yoshihara on his judged run. Just took his sight lap. Now the judge is scrutinizing this run. And Dai Yoshihara just, we always talk about just the noises that his vehicle makes. It's just very kind of poetic. It's more symphonic as opposed to rock and roll. We hear going, you know, juxtaposition from Chelsea to this vehicle. Gets a little violent there towards the end, but a great run there. Very smooth from Daijiro.
And that's what we've seen from him, right? And I think you bring up a good point. The sounds of the vehicles between Chelsea Denofa and Daijiro Yoshihara really do play into the personalities, right? This is very much a Dai Yoshihara style type sound, but it is a very clean and smooth run. This is what we saw from him in Long Beach. He had one of the highest qualifying scores, really not making a lot of mistakes. And what's emphasized here is just the cleanliness of the run, the smoothness from lock to lock, transition to transition, line on the bank. Overall, pretty solid run. We'll see if it challenges for one of those top 5 overall, but for Dai Yoshihara, it's good to see him having that consistency.
And a 92, so it does favor him, so a great score there. We are going back and revisiting Von Gittin Jr. Von Gittin Jr. here in his Monster Energy Nitto Tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR Spec 5D, and he is back on the start line.
And we don't have an official call on that, right?
We don't have an official call if he has to utilize his comp timeout or not. So we will find out as our staff down there in the pits. We will inquire about that later, but right now it is go time for Von Gittin Jr., the former champ, ready to rock. Brings it through that sweeper and now into the transition, into the front clip. Now past this second inside clip. Bringing it on home. And Ryan, notably the 3-wheel motion that just became synonymous with the twin Mustangs out of the RTR camp, the 3-wheel motion lifting up either the left or the right, absent this year.
Yeah, definitely not seeing it this year, and we'll see whether or not that has a performance impact. Knowing the RTR team, they know exactly what they're doing, how they want to set up the vehicles. A good run here from Von Gittin Jr. Came out of the gate very aggressively, managed to get through that center section. You can see the car was hopping around, but the line was managed well, and he did a great job on that second outside zone. Here he is coming off the bank. You can see a little bit of bouncing around there. You can see the tire pressure in the rear there. That's where it debeated the last time around. But as he hits that inside clip, he pushes out wide to the second outside zone, keeps those rear wheels nice and deep into that section of the course. And a good run for him as we find out. what's going to happen from a technical perspective on that first run, or that first outing where he came out for a siding lap and debeated that tire.
Well, you got to think he just saw his teammate, or heard it, as Vaughn gets an 87. Wow, that's fairly low there for Vaughn Gittin Jr., but an 87. And he just saw and heard Chelsea DeNofa getting a 96, so kind of big shoes to fill there for his teammate. Another Mustang in the mix. There's a trio of them, the RTR Camp operating 2 and Justin Pollock operating his. The Roush Performance Falcon tires. JTP Justin Pollock. Roush Performance Falcon tires, Ford Mustang. His judged run here. Dragging the wall. Big massive angle there. Man, how he comes unbound from that. A lot of other drivers hanging out that long would not be able to salvage that, bringing it back into that second inner clip, but he does a good job of bringing it. JTP Justin Pollock finishing out his first judged run.
Yeah, smoking the tires down to initiation on throttle here. I mean, really, smoke from the time he left the gate through the entirety of the course. Big angle there through that center section. You can see he kind of flows into that transition from one side of the vehicle to the next as he hits that second inside clip, then gets to that outside zone, and a massive amount of tire smoke on the track. Second hash mark, there's that transition, nice and smooth and fluid. And we're known for seeing some big, huge initiations from JTP, and I'm sure he's got one saved for us as he takes his first run and really shows some great technical skill out there.
Piotr Visek from Poland, a great addition to the Formula Drift grid, and the quilt of all the different personalities. And there's JJ. Oh, look at that, a 96 from JTP as he ties Chelsea DeNofa. So the Ford Mustangs currently tied right now, or two of them at least. But Peter Visek, like I said, a great addition to the Formula Drift paddock and grid and competition. Real competitor, and not just showing up with James Dean and kind of letting James shine. Peter Visek is a serious contender. Here we go, Peter Visek, Verthouse Drift Team, Falcon tires, Sylvia S15. Into the bank, really high and tight is Peter Visek from Poland. And now into the first inside clip, past the whoops. Man, he is tight as a button, stitching this thing up. We are seeing a near perfect run here from Peter Visek. Are you kidding me? An absolute flawless run. Ryan, I beg you to tell me what was wrong with that run. That might be a 100-point run, I'm telling you right now.
Well, it was a great initiation. He got right on throttle. He was, I mean, right on the bank there. I mean, maybe he could have been another 2 inches deeper, but that was right on the wall. Smoke line all the way through, perfect on that inside clip. A little bit of a tire up on that on that second outside zone. A little bit. I mean,
a tread.
A very, very small amount.
Look at his front wheels. No correction. Locked, loaded, ready to rock. Boom.
Yeah.
Dials it in.
I think,
I mean, that line was absolutely flawless.
From a layperson's perspective, I think this is above a 96. Where it's going to go, I'm sure the judges will give some headroom.
98. Yeah. So line. Who's the line judge and who's the style judge?
So 2 points
judge,
on there.
Judge.
One point from style,
man.
1 point from line. No, but I agree with that because
you said the tread off. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, just with the naked eye seeing it, that was. I mean,
you have to leave a little headroom.
Oh man,
you can't give 10s every time.
I mean, he's already got a lot of headroom. He's like 6'7" with a fro. That was a great run. So this is a judge run with his Wordhouse Drift Team teammate James Dean, who was defending two-time Formula Drift champion, and he is going for it. No sight lap here, and James Dean says, all right, set it and forget it. Let's do this. All right, now James Dean just saw his teammate throw down there. His tie, did a tread go off there? I mean, this is almost mimicking the line. Did he just Did he just go one notch up on the belt, or what do you think, Ryan?
It's a 99 probably because
just going off of that 98?
Well, watch. Just same initiation pretty much. He's back on throttle early. To me, just from my own visual, it looks like he's a tiny bit deeper into that outside zone. A tiny bit. I mean, maybe like a half an inch, right? Maybe an inch. Perfect. Just on that second hash mark, but he does this second outside zone a little bit better than Peter,
refined,
right?
Yeah.
So if Peter left it on because he left 2 points off, one on style, one on line, I think maybe James gets that point in line, and then it's going to depend on style. I mean, this is an incredible run. It's going to be a 99, I would guess.
I think,
or 98.
He was on the #1 hash mark. I thought Pieter. I actually liked his line a little better, but he did go off.
All right, so let's just say it's a 98.
I'd say go 99. I think he had
Ooh,
97.
Let's
okay.
see where. So
across the board.
one on angle. Okay, one on angle, one on style.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. Really stepping it up over there.
All right, so the sight laps being skipped, and this is what we saw yesterday in Pro 2, and I'm glad to see that is the trend. I mean, you know, unfortunately for the previous competitors, they saw wet conditions. Fortunately, they will see, you know, knock on wood now. But hey, there's a judge run. Matt Field, the beast from the Bay, in his Falcon tires. Borla Corvette, you can see him throwing it in there. This thing is wicked loud as he brings it on into that inside clip. Nice job by Matt Field. Into the second front clip, and now into that outer zone. And a big vehicle here to maneuver, and just after those back-to-back 98 and 97s, that's a hard act to follow, you know, seeing Pieter, James Dean, and now Matt Field.
Well, talk about 99. This is the only guy that's got one so far in the first 2 events. And this is a great job on the bank by Field. Tight through that first inside clip, nice fluid transition, tiny bit of an adjustment right there. I still think this is going to be one of the top 5 runs overall. Solid performance from Matt Field, really coming into his own in that Corvette. And let's take a look on board. Watch, very aggressive initiation, pointing it right towards the wall. He's immediately on throttle. And as we follow him around, watch how he sizes up this inside clip. Stays on throttle, boom, right there on that first hash mark. Now wrapping back around, perfect right there. And then he throws it right into that second outside zone with the wheel just right on that yellow paint. So, I mean, yeah, this is another awesome run.
Boom.
Karma.
96, a 96 there for Matt Field, and you brought up that great point. Matt Field, our Black Magic Top Qualifier Award winner at Long Beach, and now with that 96, so we're seeing these 92, 96, 98, 97, 96. All right, so Frederick Aasbo. This is a sight lap for Frederick Aasbo. Unfortunately, he suffered a mechanical failure yesterday. They pulled the engine and swapped it out. And I know yesterday they actually took it to the drag strip over there to work out the kinks. All right, so this again is a sight lap here for Frederick Aasbo. The Rockstar Energy Drink Next in Tires, Toyota Corolla hatchback. Locks it in, and here we go. The former champ, Norwegian Hammer, just recently announced his engagement, and now he's going to engage with the wall in that 5-door hot hatchback. Comes off the bank, big angle there, past that inside clip, transitioning into the second, and out of that outside zone. Puts that Motegi Racing wheel wrapped in necks and tires right on the line. Frederick, the Norwegian Hammer Aasbo.
On prediction?
Yeah, go ahead, look into your crystal ball.
All right, I'm going to tell you off air.
All right, we'll see.
All right, let's see. You know the secret.
I wrote a number down.
So this is a great bank wall ride from Frederick Aasbo. An awesome job of adjusting to that drop-off, smooth transition background. He catches it. He gets right into the pocket there. I mean, really no mistakes on line overall. And he looked fluid and committed. This is definitely going to be one of the higher scored runs for sure. As we take a look at the initiation, he also, see, pointing it right towards the wall. High-risk initiation there. You really get some good insight from the drone there. As you can see, Aasbo just committed all the way around, right on that inside hash mark. smooth, fluid transition around. I mean, there's really no mistakes here. So this has got to be one of our top 3 runs, no doubt about it, from Frederick Aasbo as he performs here in run number 1.
Ryan, I think you're a magical man. You're a very magical man because the scores are coming in. And you told me offline the score of what you thought it would be, and you are correct. A 98. Oh, Ryan. See, now people are going to start thinking it is rigged.
That's why I did it.
I know you did it offline.
I did it off air.
You whispered to me a 98 offline. And speaking of, Chris Forsberg out there on track. This is his sight run that is not judged. But you whispered a 98 to me, and you are correct.
If I did it online, then more people would think it would be
speculation.
Rigged. Yeah, they'd be like,
I get it.
They're like, oh, yeah, that's what score he wants.
Yeah. Ryan shall speak, and you shall do so. Valkyrie needs food. All right, show me what you got. Get swifty here. Chris Forsberg and the NOS Energy Drink, 370Z on Nexen tires. And here we go. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. Chris the Force Forsberg, 3-time Formula Gym champion, into the bank. Riding it right there. Nice job by Forsberg. Into that first inner clip through the whoop section. Minimal disruption from that 370Z. Riding the line right there. And Ryan, everybody just stepping up. Chris Forsberg getting that final podium spot, 3rd place at round 1. A lot of confidence as he makes the engine switch from previous years to now this VR engine.
Yeah, and he seems like he really loves this engine, and it's showing from the results in round 1 and continuing here in his first pass in qualifying. Great job on the bank, drops down into the intersection. You can see the smooth transition, the nice flick, the lock-to-lock, bringing in the angle at the right degree when needed, and really no major mistakes, not even minimal mistakes on the line there, especially on that second outside zone. He got into it early, and he starts off with a strong run in run number 1.
All right. A 96 there for Chris Forsberg. A great score for him. So Ryan, we haven't seen any moisture since we started qualifying. We gave everybody a sight lap. Truth be told, Forrest Wang and our final driver Odie do have an opportunity to do a sight lap. We'll see if they want to complete one. Judged run, so no sight lap. But after this, they will not have the choice. They have to go for it. No more sight laps after this, unless we do see some moisture, but we'll address that accordingly. So this is a judged run here for Forrest Wang, 2nd in Long Beach, and obviously 2nd in points in this Get Nuts Laboratory Achilles tire S15. Brings it on through the Yellow Speed Racing, changing up from the green to now the purple. Looks great, and his line is on point. That puts it right there on the line and brings it on home. Definitely a lot of Get Nuts fans out there.
Yeah, Forrest was definitely the talk of the town coming out of Long Beach.
That's right.
You know, a lot of it has been around the fact that he's been able to keep and maintain that styles that he's known for, but really put a lot of grip into the vehicle and maximize that speed and really do well in the chase position. In tandem, and here he starts off with a strong qualifying run. No major mistakes here. Maybe could have been a tiny bit earlier into that second outside zone, but making it look good here is your current number 2 in points, Forrest Wang. And again, once again, he points that vehicle up towards the wall, a very high-risk initiation, and you can tell the commitment because he's immediately back on throttle right after initiation and just locks into that line. Smooth transition from inside clip 1 to inside clip 2. And just making it look easy is Forrest Wang.
Let's see what you got, Wang. 97 and 97. So everybody in the 90s, I mean, every driver from top 10 on has been in the 90s. As this is a sight lap here for Odie Bakshis. Odie, our points leader, given that we've only had one previous round, and he won in Long Beach. Again, a new father. Him and his lovely wife, Amy. Congratulations. They're a new, well, I shouldn't say a new father. I should say a new father for the 2nd time. They just entered their 2nd child in the world. Here we go, Odie Bakshis. Falcon Tires, field suspension. S14 as Odie. Great angle there. Let's see how he brings it in transition. See that thing hopping around, and Odie definitely familiar with suspension setups, and looks like he has figured it out. Is that the full formula there, Ryan? Okay, well, getting some whispers here from Ryan, making some claims here on some scores. Let's see if it comes to fruition.
Well, here's your #1 driver in the series so far, and Odie Bakchis, as we know, we've spoken about this before, has really improved on his qualifying game, a very high qualifying score in Long Beach, and looking to back that up here in Orlando. You can see as he comes through that center section, he maintains the whoops very well, and he locks into a great line here on that last outside zone. So really doing a great job here is Odie Bakchis in run #1.
All right, so as Odie's score will come in here shortly, momentarily, we will take a short 2-minute break. 97, a 97 there for Odie Bakchis. So again, all top 10 drivers in the 90s. We'll take a short 2-minute commercial break, and we'll be right back with all of our drivers' second qualifying run. Don't go anywhere. AutoZone Scorch presented by Black Magic, round 2 of the Formula Drift Black Magic Pro Championship. More when we return. Welcome back to Orlando Speed World. AutoZone Scorch presented by Black Magic. Well, it was more soaked than scorched, and now it's scorched. We had, how many drivers was it, Ryan Lantagne, that had 90 scores? You said 16? 17? 17 drivers with 90 plus. The other big factor here, drivers coming in, and 2 drivers that have incompletes, Kevin Lawrence and Sebastian Gauthier. Those 2 drivers do or die. If they don't get scores, we'll have an exact 32, but those drivers definitely need to step it up. Joao Berrion kicked things off, and he had a sight lap. It was wet conditions, and now no sight laps. We have ideal conditions here at Orlando Speed World, so let's see him send it right out of the gate, and it is more than ideal conditions here for all the drivers. João Berrion from Brazil in the Barbarius Achilles tires, C7 Z06. João initiating. Good on the bank, great angle from him, could definitely be higher compared to some of the other runs we just previously saw through that power alley, consistent on the throttle, a little bit of a hiccup there, and then back on it. And just a few tire lengths off of that back outer zone. But João Berrion, he is currently sitting on a 78 on his first run.
So as you said, Jared, looking to better that 78. Let's see how he does here. Nice job on that initiation. You can see the smoke line starting to develop. Comes off the bank a little bit early, but he's able to push without hitting that inside clip. Now transitioning through that center section. I think this will better the 78. He does a much better job in terms of overall fluidity and line on the course from what I can remember in his run number 1. But as Jared, we've seen so far in the first run of qualifying, it is 90s all day to get into the top 16.
Right.
So he will definitely have an improvement on the score, I believe. But how much that will be, we'll find out.
All right. João Berrion, you could see those menacing clouds still off in the distance. Don't like to see those big gray rain clouds. And 85 on his second run, João Berrion. And 85 on his second run here for the Brazilian driver. And here's Dylan Hughes on his second run. Dylan Hughes had an 88 on his first run. That's a great place to start, but take a look at this Permatex Pro qualifying leaderboard. You can see just how great these scores. And 88 doesn't even put him in the 20s right now. So Dylan Hughes initiates strongly, gets really tight to that wall. Like to see a little bit more angle from him. The Black Magic Achilles tire, AutoZone BMW past that second front clip. And into that second outer zone goes Hughes. And brings it on in.
So looks like there won't be any question about whether or not Dylan Hughes will be in the show for tomorrow. Really looking comfortable in that vehicle. You can see that line that he maintains up on top of the bank. Was very committed. The transition off the bank into the center section, strong. Little bit of a late entrance into this outside zone. So we'll get a few deductions there, but I have to say, overall, pretty strong performance.
All right, Dylan Hughes here, replaying and taking a look here at his second qualifying run. Awaiting a score as one of those Black Magic Intense clips gets taken out and will get reset. So he does not better. He gets an 87 on his second run. So as I said, I mean, that's good. I mean, it's consistent. 87, 88. Make it into the show. There are definitely some lower scores, but just to lock it in. I mean, outside of the incompletes, everybody else is in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. So just to give you an idea, I mean, the lowest score that is a score, I believe, is 74 with Federico Sharifo. So here comes Kevin Lawrence. This is do or die for K-Law. This is his home track, and Juku Racing, RB powered S chassis. S14.3 now brings it through that no man's land, takes out that front clip. Kevin Lawrence into that second outer zone and across the finish line.
Well, Jared, as you said, do or die, and he did there. He is going to survive. Now it's really going to come down to what is the score going to be. And we are seeing those zeros starting to disappear. So Lawrence up on the bank. Pretty good job there, nice and high. Handles the bump pretty well through the center section. A little bit tight on the line. but he makes it look pretty good. He's able to finish up pretty deep into that outside zone. So it's not going to be the best run of the weekend, as we've seen some really incredible runs, but this is a good overall run for Kevin Lawrence, and not succumbing to the pressure here as he manages to get through run number 2.
So Kevin Lawrence, as I said, the lowest score I believe is 74, taking a quick glance at all of them. And Kevin Lawrence, if he does not get higher than a 74, that could really set him back. He's currently on the outside looking in. So an 81, he jumps up to 27th. So an 81 on his second run puts him into 27th position. Jeff Jones, speaking of 81, he has an 81 on his first run. The other incomplete run is Sebastian Gauthier. He is the other only incomplete run we have.
And yesterday in Pro 2 qualifying, we really started to see, I mean, obviously we're not knocking out 16 drivers, so, you know, the cutoff is not going to be as dramatic, but
2 drivers are going to be watching.
2 drivers, yeah.
2 drivers are going to be watching from the sidelines. Jeff Jones doesn't want to be one of them. Just to really solidify his position, he currently sits on an 81 run. And now it looks like he steps it up tremendously in that dock. Nexen Tires, NRG Innovations, powered by Edelbrock 370Z, and into that second outer zone. Let's bring it on out. Bring it on out, Jeff. You can see just a tire away from that outside line.
Well, I think you're right. I think this will be a step up from him. Nice initiation. He stays and gets on throttle immediately on the bank. He's on a high line there, not out to the wall, but very high. Good transition here. Just makes a little bit of a flub as he gets into this section of the course here. Didn't push out wide enough to start in the deepest part of that outside zone, and so therefore he missed a good chunk of that. Let's take a look at the initiation, and then he's immediately on throttle, which is exactly what the judges want to see. You can see a little bit of room there between him and the wall. Getting a great onboard shot here with the racing drone. A little bit of an adjustment, giving the car more angle there. And I would say this section of the course is the area where he could have the most improvement, but nonetheless is a good run by Jeff Jones.
And he does better with an 88. So an 88 on his second run puts him into 21st position. Kyle Mohan on his second run, warming up his tires. Mohan had a 78 on his first run. All right, Mohan, American Ethanol, Top One Oil, Mazda Tricks, Mazda RX-8 on Nexen Tires. And here comes Mohan, leaving the start line, banging on those wankles. Quick little hesitation, but then mashes the throttle. Massive angle there from Mohan. Oh, a little bit of a hiccup, and he saw some debris fly off his vehicle there, his front bumper. And brings it across the finish line, Ryan.
Well, let's take a look here at Kyle Mohan's second run. He has that 78 in run number 1, so looking to better that. Nice initiation. He kind of gets on throttle a little bit late there. You can see that car kind of dip in momentum, which is allowed in that area, but obviously the judges want to see him get back over as early as possible. Now coming through the center section, his front bumper's going to hit the ground. It actually gets pulled off, sucked underneath the vehicle. And while that doesn't seem to cause any issues with the driving, it is tucked into the left-hand side of the fender. Could have been a little bit deeper into that second outside zone. Let's see if we can catch it here. It's right about here that the bumper, you can see a little debris fly off. Actually, almost hit the drone. Wow. And he is able to finish the run. So the question is it going to be better than 78? I think it might be really close. Yes, it is. 79.
And it's 79, just barely. So holding on by the skin of his Nexen tires there, 79. He is currently in 30th position. And Austin Meeks, Ferocious Motorsports, Nexen Tires, Cadillac ATS-V. Let's see what you got. Austin Meeks on your second run. Meeks just flirting with the bubble right now. Really needs to step it up on his freshman season with this vehicle. He is a longtime formative competitor, but changing his vehicles. And Meeks finishes it out. As I said, he currently has a 78 on his first run.
So Austin Meeks also looking to better a 78. Here he is on the bank. You can see the car hopping around. He was on a mid-high line. He got high for a second, then he kind of came down a little bit here. See that slight adjustment in the front wheels coming through that center section. He's in a deeper part of the outside zone too, leaves a little bit of room there though. I think he also may better that 78. And you can see right here coming down off the bank, moving into that first inside clip. Right there he has just a little bit of a tweak in the front wheels, not keeping the lock consistent as he switched from one side of the track to the next. And he still does better there.
Yeah, it does better with an 86, so that's great for Meeks. Just moves him up a couple spots, moves him into 25th spot. Now this is the other driver that had the incomplete. Kevin Lawrence, you know, he had the other one, but Gauthier, he is currently sitting on an incomplete run, AKA a 0. So the driver from Quebec City, we saw him do his sight lap, and then when he came back for his actual judge run, he blew smoke and had to shut it down. So keep your fingers crossed for the Canadian driver, Sebastien Gauthier. Oh, you see him fall out of drift, but then he reinitiates. What could be the problem here? As Gauthier powers through, keeps it moving. Obviously not running 100% right now, Ryan, as Gauthier, man, smokes this place out.
Well, because you can really hear Gauthier's vehicle, you can also kind of see when he's dropping off throttle. Let's take a look at the initiation here, right? About there, he has that correction, a sizable correction relative to what we've seen in that section of the course from other drivers. So certainly going to get some points taken off there. You can see in that area where we have a decel, he's off throttle for a second, then gets back on it. Overall, it's a pretty decent run minus the initiation. In the line, he just boots that last clip. Let's see if we can notice it right here. Watch the front wheels. You can see they don't come straight, so he keeps angle in the car, so it's not going to be an incomplete, but setting the stage with your initiation and having that mistake, obviously, at least in that section of the course, for angle and for commitment, so style is going to definitely lead to some deductions.
Oh, wow, look at that. So an 80, he barely gets in with a 31, or in 31st position. So Federico Sharifo with a 74. And again, I don't have the ticker. I'm just going for what I wrote down. So 74. So Federico, he currently has the lowest score, and we have 34 drivers with scores. So you don't want to be on the outside looking in. Again, a 74, the lowest so far, and that is from this Italian driver. And I believe Taylor Hole is the other lowest score with a 78. So 74 and a 78, and these two drivers are next. So Federico Sharifo, he needs to step it up. Federico in the Ferrari from Italy initiates. And now looks a lot more confident here on this run. Remember, he forewent his sight lap on his first run, and here's the second judged run. Winding out that 12-cylinder. Across the finish line, Ryan, is that enough?
Yeah, it's definitely going to do it, at least in my opinion, just because we've seen an 80, an 86 in the past few moments. The initiation is pretty solid. He's nice and high on the bank. Good consistent angle here. He comes off the bank right at the right time. He stays tight on that inside clip. The transition back around is smooth. He has that little tiny correction, or rather the little bit of a deep line on that second hash mark, but that's just away from perfection, right? It's just one little, about a foot away from perfection in terms of that section of the course. Outside of that, I think this is going to be a vast improvement on his 78.
Yeah. Yeah, so actually a 74, he had a 74, so even lower. He's definitely the lowest score. An 86, so he bumps up considerably to that 26th position. But that's only right now. Let's see as we progress through the rest of the field. So I believe Taylor Hull has now the lowest score with a 78, as everybody else has upped the ante. So Taylor Hull. All right, Taylor Hull, the comp cams, Achilles tire, Cadillac ATS-V. Let's get it done there, buddy, from Georgia. Taylor Hull, big faint entry. Let's see if he can keep it hanging out there. And into that first inside clip through the power alley, a wide swing around the second. It's gonna affect his line there, Ryan. But brings it across the finish line. Is that enough? Because I'm seeing 81 of Kevin Lawrence. That's one of the lowest scores.
Well, it looks like the cutoff is
And
basically
80 as well.
80, yeah.
Sebastian.
Well, this is a good line here on the bank from Taylor Hull. He's running through the course very fast. Blows right through that inside clip. Looking pretty smooth so far, but he is a bit wide on that second inside clip. He doesn't get into that last outside zone in the right place. But, man, he is blazing through that course. Let's take a look at it again here. Coming down off the bank, compresses the suspension, tight on that inside clip. I like the transition here, but he could have been on a bit of a tighter line to be on the right line, and that may have been able to give him the opportunity to push out and really get into that second outside zone better, but he still improves, Jared.
And an 86, so a considerable improvement. An 86, we take the better scores of the two. This is not an average, and that is a score that you are married to. Oh man, so we are finding out that Sebastian Gauthier and Mohan. So Mohan had a highest score of 79 and Sebastian Gauthier with the highest score of 80. That means, unfortunately, for Gauthier and Mohan, they will not be seeing head-to-head competition. That is unofficial as it stands right now, but going off of everybody else's score, they have an 81 or higher. So that means Mohan and Gauthier will not be seeing head-to-head competition. All the remaining drivers are locked and loaded for tomorrow's head-to-head action, Ryan.
Yeah, if that is true, then that basically means the remaining runs are really just for aesthetic.
And accolade here at round two. Here comes Ken Gucci. See that front right locking up. Man, it looks like half of his car went into the wall on that outside zone, really tight to that first inside clip. Locks it up, massages it onto that second inside clip. Listen to that exhaust note, Ryan. You were talking about on the first run really kind of pulsing it, but now that was just really hammering down and very consistent and fluid, much more than his first run.
Yeah, look at this here. You can see that great angle, locking up those front wheels. He's creeping up towards the wall, literally scraping the back bumper there, and then really keeping the throttle on, the movement very smooth and consistent. Look at the counter lock there. Huge angle from Ken Gucci while maintaining good forward momentum and keeping that rear wheel right in the pocket. Here he is up on the bank. And a nice job executing the compression there, coming down off the bank, smooth through that center section. A little bit of a lockup right there past that second inside clip. But Ken Gucci looking strong.
Gucci with a 95. So a 95 is matched with a 95 for Ken Gucci. Let's see what we got here. Michael Essa, the Essa Autosports, Achilles Tire BMW, former champ. Thumbs up. Send it. Here we go. Michael Essa. And here comes Essa on initiation. Man, these guys are just getting faster and faster, it seems like. I guess a very smooth, minimal corrections from those front wheels. Look at that. Just as I say that, you see a quick little flick of the wrist. And then crossing the finish line goes Michael Essa.
So Essa here trying to improve on run number 1. Nice fluid initiation. Stays on that high line. Liking this so far. Handles the bump really well. Nice aggressive flick back across. Really locked on angle there. Maybe could have been about a foot deeper at the beginning of that section of the course to really fill that angle. But look at how he runs right across that first hash mark. And you can see he's just maybe a 6 inches to a foot off at the beginning of that outside zone. But other than that,
does that better than 90?
I think it probably does.
95. So a 95 for Michael Essa on his second run. Yeah, I know. With a 95, he's in 13th. That's crazy. Thanks for pointing that out. All right, so Vaughn Gittin Jr. here on his second run on the Monster Energy Nitto Tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR. Vaughn initiates. Absolutely massive angle there from Vaughn. Brings it down from the transition into the flat bottom. You can see him kind of pulsing forward. Man, Vaughn has gone through quite a few bumper splitters this weekend already. It looks like he is just tearing those things off like Scotch tape. So Vaughn Gittin Jr. has an 87, one of the lowest scores there, but still making 32.
Well, he's definitely going to want to improve on this. He doesn't want to go up against the other side of the bracket, being near the score of the 27th place. So he's looking to improve here by quite a large margin in order to get up the scoring line. I think this is a good second run for him. It will definitely improve. The question is how much.
All right, and let's see what Vaughn gets. Again, one of the lowest with an 87 after that defeated tire, but now he is back and looks like he's getting a 94. So a considerable jump up to 94, puts him into 15th position. We have 10 more vehicles left. 10 more vehicles left. And here comes the RTR teammate of Vaughn Gittin Jr., Chelsea Denofa, the BC Racing Nitto Tires Ford Performance Mustang RTR. Chelsea at one point had the top qualifying spot with a 96. A little hop, skip, and a jump. Massive angle there from Chelsea. You can see him just correct and get those wheels, those centerline wheels, right to. I think he's going to continue doing a burnout all the way back to grid. Did you see that? Oh my goodness, his line was solid after the finish line.
Yeah, it's another solid run here for Denofa. He's right on the edge of being out of control, but that's exactly what you want to see, right? You want to see drivers push as hard as they possibly can without going over that edge, and he doesn't really leave a lot on the table there. He could have been a little bit deeper into outside zone number 2, but the transition there was beautiful. It was nice and smooth. He handled the bumps well, and he really went full throttle all the way through the course.
Yeah, look at that, Johnny UPV right there. Tight to that Ford Mustang. And a 97. So a 96 and a 97. Chelsea Denofa absolutely kills it out here on qualifying. So Dai Yoshihari has a 92. Again, all the top 10 drivers, 90s. You got 92, 96, 98, 97, 96, 98. So all these guys stacked with 90s. Here we go, Dai Yoshihara, turn 14 distribution, Falcon Tires, Subaru BRZ with Ineos oil running through the veins. Look at that, Ryan. I mean, that looked like it was just magnetized to the wall from Git. And then past that second inside clip, Ryan, minimal corrections, if at all. Wow, Dai Yoshihara stepping up in grand fashion, a 92 on his first run.
I think he's going to better that. This was another solid performance, and last time when we noticed a few things here and there, it looks like Dai actually stepped it up one more level here in run number 2. Flawless on the bank, smooth initiation, great through that center section, huge angle there. but he keeps nice forward momentum, and he's on the right line on course. So I gotta imagine this is gonna go above 95 at least. I don't know, making claims. But a very good run from Daijiro Yoshihara, and we'll see what the judges think as well.
So Odie forced, look at that, a 99 from Daijiro Yoshihara. That is the first 99 we've seen. And now, look at that, so 1 point in line. 1 point left out there via line. So Dai Yoshihara currently holding that Black Magic top qualifier #1 spot. And here is JTP, Justin Pollock. Roush Performance, Falcon Tires, Ford Mustang. And here we go. JTP initiates. Big angle from him. Nice job. He sticks it to the wall as well. I mean, we are splitting hairs when it comes down to qualifying right now. It's just that X factor of somebody just really putting it out there. But all things considered, all the drivers are already in head-to-head, and Justin Pollock delivers another solid run with a 96 on his first run. Ryan, these drivers are all just ready to shred.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to find any fault or mistake in here. I mean, the one thing is that Justin has a really big, snappy initiation there that he's able to hold pretty well. You know, a lot of times guys will put big angle in the initiation, have to pull some out. Justin did a good job of keeping big angle in there, but not really pulling it out. And then he just slays the rest of the course. He had a little tiny, a minimal correction coming through the center section, but it was because he had so much angle in his transition, and that's what you love to see, but keeping that forward momentum. So this is a great job for JTP. Another solid run here. Just loving the way that he's executing the course. Perfect on that inside clip. And again, right there, I mean, just you could not get any closer without hitting that cone. So a solid performance being racked up here in not just one, but 2 runs by JTP.
And a 98, a 96, and then a 98 from JTP. So getting into top 7, Peter Visick, he is on the start line. Wardhouse Drift Team, Falcon Tires. What I thought was a near perfect run, and it was a 98, only 2 points. Here comes Peter Visick from Poland. Initiates on the wall. Once again, these guys are just stepping up round after round, run after run. And Visick into that second outer zone and keeps it all the way out there. And Visick, yeah, take note. I saw that too as well, Brian.
Well, bam, right into that initiation. And notice there was really no slowdown. He initiated, kept the momentum moving forward, kept the throttle on, drew a great line on the bank right up there against the wall. Huge angle coming through that center section, and he links it. He links it perfectly. I mean, the judges really have not a lot of headroom here to deal with on these few final runs. It's really going to be about, you know, because they put these scores in independently, it's going to be really about what judge decides to give the edge. If they all do it at the same time, you might find yourself getting 100. And look, he's got another exact score of a 98.
And a 98, another 98 there for Peter Visick. And what one of our judges, Brian Egger, was saying, just a hair late on initiation. I do agree. He went for that faint entry and just could have been a little earlier to really just lock it in. But here comes, again, the 2-time defending champion, James the Machine Dean. Can he live up to his name? Is he going to stand and deliver? Oh, and it shuts it down. So James Dean had some issues at round 1. Don't know if that was mechanical or what, but regardless, he does have a 97. All right. Ryan, look at this again here.
Yeah, well, look, you know, we saw a little moment of defenselessness from James in Long Beach, not really knowing what was going on with the vehicle. They were having problems with the NOS. And here, run number 2, it comes back to haunt him. So that'll be the tie splitter there. He'll have an incomplete. And so we're seeing 2 events back-to-back here, James. It looks like a little bit of car troubles, and hopefully that's we're not telling the story for tomorrow in the top 32.
All right, so James Dean, an incomplete on his second run. As you said, the tiebreaker, an incomplete as compared to some of the other drivers, but look at that, at 97, he's in the 7th position. Just shows you of the consistency and caliber of drivers and driving that we're seeing here today. Here is Matt Field, the beast from the Bay, on his second run. He had a 96. He was our #1 qualifier in Long Beach. Can he do it again? But after Matt Field, we have our top 5 points leaders. Or top 4, excuse me, as Matt Field currently sits in 5th. Matt Field initiates. Falcon Tires Corvette. Rides the wall all the way till the end. Transitions into that front clip. Oh, and a correction there. Looks like he came unbound in the whoops. Outside of that mistake, everything else looked great, but that was a pretty major mistake there in that power alley.
Yeah, I mean, compared to where his first run was at, this will be a throwaway run for him. But another opportunity to burn a few tires on this course. Let's see what happens here to Field. Snaps back around, and right there, yeah, it looks like as he came over the whoops, he almost caught air, and it looks like the front end actually moved forward and was not able to keep that angle in the vehicle.
And unfortunately,
Let's see if we can see it from this one. Yeah.
Yeah, he lost drift, so the judges just tapped me on the shoulder and said that will be an incomplete run, unfortunately for him. So, but fortunately, he does have a 96 on his first run, and with the 96, he still sits in 10th, or only sits in 10th, which is even crazier. So, Matt Field, 96 on his first, and a incomplete on his second run. Frederick Aasbo, sitting 4th in points, Rockstar Energy Drink. Next in tire, Toyota Racing Toyota Corolla hatchback. The Motegi Racing wheels go round, and there is signature Aasbo style. That 4-cylinder turbo nitrous setup under the hood being swapped out yesterday, and it looks like they are back into running order. Well done by Frederick Aasbo. Aasbo comes back with authority and drops the hammer, Ryan.
So Aasbo on another amazing run here. Nice and high on the bank, very consistent smoke line, and just really charging hard. And that transition back, when he gets angle in the vehicle, he keeps the angle there, he holds it, doesn't have to pull any out or increase it. Just keeps that nice lock and beautiful line all the way.
All right, so Frederick Aasbo with a 98 on his first run and a 99 on his second run. So with a 99 and a 98, he will take that #1 spot because Dai Yoshihara had a 99 and a 92, so he takes the #1 spot, that Black Magic Top Qualifier Award winner. So can Chris Forsberg top that? The only way he could is if he got a perfect qualifying run. The only three-time Formula Joe champion in the NOS Energy Drink 370Z on Nexen tires is having his way with this course. Again, that VR, the GTR engine setup, really high on the bank. Now drops down into that front clip, transitions through, past that second inside clip, and sets it right into the groove like a needle on a record. Chris Forsberg brings it across the finish line and shuts her down.
If nothing else, if the runs aren't exciting enough, it's what we're getting out of these runs that is going to make it be something to look forward to in top 32 competition, because with so many good runs, so much consistency, and here we go, Chris, our 3rd place in points right now, another phenomenal run with really not too many noticeable mistakes, and I mean noticeable meaning like none. And, you know, we're just seeing these drivers perform at a very, very high level right now. It's making it really difficult on the judges as we go aboard. And you can see the way he flowed through that second inside clip and got into that outside zone, it was right at the time where the judges have that outside zone starting. And that's exactly what you want to see. So Chris Forsberg, another solid run.
A 97, so 1 point off in line and 2 in style. So again, a 97 on his second run and puts him into 5th. So our 2 remaining drivers, and as far as the schedule, we can see Forrest Wang there. As far as the schedule, we will be seeing Pro 2 Top 16. Live stream goes live at 5:15 for opening ceremonies. Here we go. Forrest Wang on his Achilles radial, Yellow Speed Racing, Energy Innovations, Nissan Silvia S15. Big angle there from Forrest Wang. Comes down through into that front clip, and the second. You can see him just tighten it up to that second inner clip. And the outer zone, we are definitely seeing ideal conditions as far as the moisture we saw early on in the first run, but now it is money.
Well, let's take a look at this here with Wang, and again, another strong performance. You can see once he picks that line, he stays very consistent there. A slight little adjustment from Wang coming off the bank, sweeping through that center section, and again, great timing there from inside clip 1 to outside zone 2. Inside clip 2 to outside zone 2. That flow right there, just perfect. Locking in that line and keeping that angle consistent. And really impressed by these drivers. And another 97 for him.
97. So he pairs his 97 with the 97. So we have our final driver, our current points leader, our most recent winner from round 1 in Long Beach. But again, giving you the lay of the land, local time is 2:07. We'll have a break. We'll have an autograph signing if you're here in the building at 2:30. We have a driver's meeting for Pro 2. Open practice for Pro 2 at 3:45 to 5:15. And then we kick things off around the world on our Pro 2 live stream at 5:15 for our national anthem and opening ceremonies for Top 16 competition for our first round of the Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship. Here we go. Our final qualifying run. Odie Bakshis. He has a 97 on his first run. Can he better it? Right now, it looks like Frederick Aasbo is our Black Magic number 1 top qualifier award winner as Odie Bakshis tries to better that. And look at that. He keeps it tight. A lot of confidence right now under the helmet of Odie Bakshis. And Odie crosses the finish line. Ryan, is that enough to knock down a 90, a 99, or basically if he'd have to get 100 points?
Yeah, he would need to get 100 points because he has a 97.
Yep, 97. Yeah. Osbo's got a 98 and a 99.
So this has got to be the perfect run here. And Odie Bakshis always up for the challenge, but I think maybe there's at least a point or two that's going to fall off there.
Right.
And nonetheless, we've just really seen Odie become a top-notch qualifying driver. And not only was he a great head-to-head matchup chase driver before this, the past few rounds from 18 into this year, he has just looked absolutely phenomenal as a qualifying driver as well. So right now he's on top of the heap. We'll see where we land for our top qualifier. And don't forget, later on today, we still have the Pro 2 Top 16 in the first round of the Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship.
Thank you, Ryan, as Odie scores coming in on behalf of the judges and our whole staff. Again, there's a 97, so a 97, and man, 2 97s still lands him in the number 5 position. That's a wrap on qualifying for the Black Magic Pro Championship. Again, on behalf of Ryan Sage, all of our whole gang here, this is AutoZone Scorched, presented by Black Magic. We'll see you back here online. And also, if you're in the building, we have autograph signings, cruise through the pits and the paddocks. And again, we have open practice for Pro 2. Plenty of things to see and do here at the Formula Drift Black Magic Pro Championship.